Hi gang, Scott here. I got a tip for you today in Luminar, the black and white conversion tool. Now, there are some sliders in this tool that let us change the luminance of certain color ranges. So we can make certain ranges darker or brighter, and that can have quite an impact on the black and white conversion. Well, if you're not quite sure which regions of your photo those sliders are going to affect, there is another set of sliders that will help you visualize that, and that's what I want to show you. So let me just start with this photo here, and I've really kind of amped the colors up quite a bit, so we naturally have a feel for what's going on, right? We see yellows, we see oranges, we see greens, and then kind of like this bluish gray up in the slate. This is more or less just gray, and we're going to do a black and white conversion. So first thing we do is open up the tool, click Convert to Black and White, and we get the standard black and white conversion, right? And we have two tabs, luminance and saturation. And luminance, as we push things around, stuff changes, right? We make greens darker, greens brighter. It's like, well, what are greens? What about yellows? That seems to be having even more effect. That was not what I was expecting. And this is where you might start to get either confused, or you just start pushing sliders around without a plan or without knowing exactly what's going to happen. That can be fun. I do that myself, but I want to show you the saturation side. So the way this tool is laid out, all of the colors have been removed, right? We've just desaturated the entire thing. Well, what happens when I start introducing red? Let's watch the photo. Surprisingly to me, it's really in the oranges and yellows we start to see those colors come up. And you're probably already thinking, oh wow, this is a cool way to do some selective color treatment. Yeah, you could certainly do that with the black and white tool. But what this tells me is, okay, reds, those are my foreground trees. The smaller trees in the front. There are little bits of speckles kind of up in the rocks and so forth, tiny bits here and there. But predominantly, this is going to affect my foreground trees. What about yellow? Somewhat in the evergreens, but not a huge amount of impact unless I really push it all the way to the right. Green, we start to definitely see, greens are going to be I'll call them my triangular trees. The long, tall evergreens that are in there. What do we got left? We got cyan, we'll push that all the way over. Very little effect, a bit up in the granite. Blue, same kind of thing. Mostly notice it at the waterfall, so if I want to darken the area around the water, I'd want to play with blue. Magenta, little to no effect, almost like the chromatic aberration kind of look to it. So armed with that knowledge, just playing around with those saturation sliders, now I can go back to luminance and change the overall look of my photo. So blue, for example, I want to darken that because I want to see that waterfall more. So I pull that down, I'm darkening this side here, right? Before, after, and it darken some other areas too, that's fine. Yellows, that was like my foreground. If I brighten that up, I'm going to brighten that up. And same thing with reds. The reds were really in those foreground trees, so I brighten those up. And I can take the greens, or my triangular trees, what if I darken those down? Start to add a little more depth into the scene. And so on down the line. Cyan and magenta really didn't play much of a role. But just by visiting that saturation slider area and testing out, well, what is green affecting? Those trees, things right there. If I want those to be darker, I go to my green slider and I pull that down. So explore that saturation area so you can get a feel for how are the different sliders going to affect your photo. Very easily, very visually see what's going on with each one of those color ranges, and then make your photo the way you want it to be. Hope you found the tip useful. Got questions? Go ahead and drop them below. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport. Have fun.